Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 5, entitled Durvasa Muni's Life Spared. Text number 21 and 22. This one is 22, so I'll read on my own 21. Karma badatam etate gyayanti swastriyo muhu kirtim parama punyam cha kirtajisyati buriyam. All the blessed women in the heavenly planets will continuously chant about your spotless character at every moment. And the people of this world will also chant your glories continuously. This is Sukadev Goswami narrating the conversation, the exchange that Durvasa Muni is having with Ambarish Maharaj. So this is Durvasa Muni speaking. So next verse, text 22. Please repeat. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Sankirtya Rajanam Durvasa Paritoshitaha Jayo Jayo Bihayasa Mantrya Brahma Lokam Haitukam. Sri Sukha Uvacha Evam Sankirtya Rajanam Durvasa Paritoshitaha Jayo Jayo Bihajasa Mantrya Brahma Lokam Haitukam. Devotees. Ladies. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Sankirtya, glorifying, Rajanam, the king, Durvasaha, the great mystic yogi Durvasa Muni, Paritoshitaha, being satisfied in all respects, Jayo, left that place, Bihayasa, by the spaceways, Amantriya, taking permission, Brahmalokam, to the topmost planet of this universe, Ahai Tukam, where there is no dry philosophical speculation. Translation, please repeat. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Durvasa took permission and left, continuously glorifying the king. Through the skyways he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Durvasa took permission and left, continuously glorifying the king. Through the skyways he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although Durvasa Muni went back to Brahmaloka through the spaceways, he did not need an airplane, for great mystic yogis can transport themselves from any planet to any other, without any machine. There is a planet named Siddhaloka, whose inhabitants can go to any other planet because they naturally have all the perfections of yoga practice. Thus, Durvasa Muni, the great mystic yogi, could go through the skyways to any planet, even to Brahmaloka. In Brahmaloka, everyone is self-realized, and thus there is no need of philosophical speculation to come to the conclusion of the absolute truth. Durvasa Muni's purpose in going to Brahmaloka was apparently to speak to the residents of Brahmaloka about how powerful a devotee is, and how a devotee can surpass every living entity within this world. The so-called jnanis and yogis cannot compare to a devotee. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanandjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine. Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th Canto, Chapter 5, Text 21 and 22. I'll read them again. All the blessed women in the heavenly planets will continuously chant about your spotless character at every moment. And the people of this world will also chant your glorious continuously. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Durvasa took permission and left. Continuously glorifying the king, through the skyways he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Om Tat Sat. So, this is an amazing section of the Bhagavatam where we find one of the most important instructions or directions in terms of spiritual practices. The yogic process generally have yama, niyama, what you do, what you avoid. So this is one of the things that we have to do to glorify the devotees. And one of the things that we don't have to do is to offend the devotees. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what this pastime is all about. Durvasa Muni being puffed up, being proud, as a very strong yogic sage, a big Muni, Prabhupada says a proud Brahmana. Then he offended Ambarish Maharaj. So Prabhupada quotes this famous verse. I mean, he made it famous for several reasons. And he quotes this verse in the previous purport, I believe. Vaishnavera kriya mudra bigeha na bujaya. Actually, this is Prabhupada's version of this verse. If you Google or you look in the Vedavase, this verse is not like that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Prabhupada somehow condensed it. That's his own version. The verse is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. And it goes like this: Chandra chitta Krishna prema karaya udoya. Tandra vakya kriya mudra bigeha nabujaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 23rd chapter, 39 verse. And the translation says, even the most learned man cannot understand the words, activities, and symptoms of a person situated in love of Godhead. But Prabhupada repeatedly quotes this verse in his own version throughout his purports to express the importance of Vaishnavas. So here what the Bhagavatam is doing is bringing us into Ambarish Maharaj mentality. So it's like it's a secret and a sacred place. How can we enter into someone's mind? Right? So that's what the Bhagavatam is doing. It's opening Ambarish Maharaj's mind. How is he? How does he behave? How does he think? Remember at the end of chapter 2, text 54 if I'm not mistaken, Arjuna asked Krishna, please tell me the symptoms of that person who has transcended. Right? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? What is his language? Prabhupada often said that Krishna consciousness is a practical science. So Arjuna wanted to see. He wants to, like you have the before and after, right? Generally when people want to get buffed, or when ladies want to get slim, also men like that. So you have before and after. You want to see what's the result. So Arjuna asks that to Krishna at the end of chapter 2. Give me the symptoms. Tell me how does it look? How does he walk? How can I see? That's in Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavatam is an expansion of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So the symptoms of that person, of that devotee, are mentioned briefly in the Gita by Krishna. Chapter 5, chapter 7, chapter 9, chapter 12. How a devotee thinks. Right? But the Bhagavatam explains with name and surname, address and all the details. This is what we are meant to learn how to be. Right? Of course, we have the other side of the story, Durvasa. I read recently something which I found it quite funny to an extent. Something that goes like, doesn't matter how bad you are, or how bad you think you are, you're not useless. Right, one of those positive psychology stuff. You are useful as an example of what not to be. Huh? You are useful as an example of what not to be. By the way, I just wanted to mention that we gotta be a bit careful with Durvasa Muni. I was doing some research. He's not an ordinary person, right? Sometimes when this pastime comes, it seems like Durvasa is on trial, right? And of course, Prabhupada speak pretty heavy words. He behaved like an asura. That's what Prabhupada says in one of the earlier purports. However, he's a very special. He's one of those characters that seems like, you know, when there are these movies and people get, audition, right? They get tested, their skills, right? How good actors are they? So it seems like some of these characters that appeared in Krishna's pastimes are selected by the Lord to enhance the situation. And Durvasa is one of them. You know what Durvasa means? Durvasa? Dura, Duratyaya. Hard, harsh, difficult. And Vasa? Some Indian background you should know. Vasa? Live with. Hard to live with. Hard to live with. Right? Durvasa. Right? So that's what we should not be. Hard to live with. Husbands and wife, you know that saying? You're so hard to live with. Okay? Durvasa. So he was a difficult character. However, we have to be careful. In fact, Gauda Ganadesha Deepika says that he takes birth as, who knows? Gangadas Pandit. Right? And the verse says that he's very dear to Lord Chaitanya. Right? Who in his previous life was Durvasa and was very dear by whom? By the gopis. Okay? Some of you, many of you, most of you, all of you are more expert than me, so you know the pastimes. There's a famous Durvasa ashram in Vrindavan, right? There are different pastimes there with the gopis. The gopis were also very careful about Durvasa Muni, so I just wanted to say, just a warning, be careful when we talk about him. But the emphasis of Prabhupada's purpose in this section is about Ambarish Maharaj. Prabhupada quotes these famous slokas, one of the most quoted verses of Srila Prabhupada, about what a devotee is and how a devotee behaves. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayo. Right? What is that? Chapter 9, chapter 4, A2, something like that. So Prabhupada quotes twice this set of 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. So that shows that it's important. Right? The whole thing, 4 verses, explaining from what Ambarish does, from his thinking, from his speaking, from his hearing, from his seeing, everything is there. Exactly. Mukunda lingala yadarshana drisho. What are your eyes meant for? Seeing the Lord. Mukunda lingalaya. Huh? What are your hands meant to do? Huh? Yeah, clean the temple of the Lord. Get your hands dirty, they say. Right? Get practical. Roll up your sleeves, they say, yeah? Karo harer mandira marjana disho. And your feet, your legs, pado harer chetra padanusharbhane. So every single thing has a function. Otherwise, Bhattan explains that everything is useless unless it is used for the pleasure of the Lord. Everything is there. Every line, the purpose of the ears is to hear about Krishna. The purpose of the tongue, to taste. Tulsi. That's the verse. Twice in the Bhagavad Gita. We should know this. Right? The power of smell. To do what? The flowers. Of course. So everything. Right? What else? Beautiful hair. Head. Right? The most important part of the body. Right? Generally when somebody's crowned as the king or a queen, they put a crown. Where do they put it? In the head. Right? Siro Rishikesha Padhavi Bandhane. My head only has use if I put it at the feet of the Lord. Siro Rishikesha Padhavi Bandhane. In the sense of touch, this is an important one. I heard an explanation from Sachinanda Maharaj that he said that when the temple is crowded, I know some of us Mayapur residents, at least for some time, some of us, we get a bit annoyed when the temple is too crowded, yeah? That's the common talk. Oh, too many people, right? And people sometimes are sweaty, and then you're entered, and you're, it gets tough. You want to see Nishingadev, it's almost impossible, right? It was a big day. Now, many days are big days here in Mayapur. Like some days it's just like, I don't know, devatas are taking the forms of villagers, as Chaitanya Charitamrita explains. They hide two arms, and they, at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30, it's so many people crowding into Mongol Arctic. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. Where do these people come from? Lines. Right? So sometimes we may get, it's annoying. So, this verse explains that that the sense of touch, it's purified when we touch the devotees. That's what Maharaj, Sachinanda Maharaj says. Even just accidentally, when people rub you and and the guards are pushing, pulling people. That in itself, just because you're close to devotees, we are getting purified. We're advancing. So these qualities are described by Prabhupada twice in his purports in the Bhagavad Gita. 261 and what's the other one? 618 in the purports. The whole thing, Sanskrit, everything. And Prabhupada explains there that the power of bhakti, the power of the bhakta, is superior than any yogi, any ascetic, any tapasvi. He explains that. Sometimes we may think that by doing some austerities, now we're in Kartik, and sometimes some devotees, they do special austerities. Hari Bhakti Vilas explains some things, etc. Srila Prabhupada always emphasized chant more, right? He emphasized chant more. What else? Read more. Attend the morning program. And if you're really fired up, just preach. Distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. So that's Prabhupada's formula, right? Very practical for most people in this day and age. Maybe some of you are hidden yogis, tapasvis, came from some other platform. But for many people like me, this program that Prabhupada has presented, it's already hard enough. All right? It's already hard enough. Ravinda Sarup Prabhu says, the cold shower syndrome. You heard about the cold shower syndrome? Especially if you're a brahmachari or an austere, grihasta, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. You are meant to take cold shower. And the mind shouts at that point, nah, I don't want this. I hate this. Why should I do this? Why can I stay in bed a little bit more? The cold shower syndrome. So like that, going back to our point, what Bhagavatam is doing, and particularly what Prabhupada's purports do, is that they open the mind of the Vaishnava. Right? More than the mind, because sometimes in Sanskrit, mind and heart, like when we chant in the morning, Cheto Darapana Marjanam, right? Literally, that it can be translated, Cheta is like consciousness. Sometimes it's translated as the heart. Sometimes it's translated as the mind. Right? Even Krishna says, this is what I think, Mama Matir. Right? This is my mind. Right? Sometimes in English you say, I'm going to give him or her a piece of my mind, which means I'm going to let you know what I'm really thinking. Right? I'm going to let you know what I'm up to. So when you open someone's mind, when you know someone's heart, then you really know the person. Yes or no? Right? So that's what the Bhagavatam does. That's what Prabhupada's books do. Right? They open the mind of a devotee. And because that is so attractive, it's most attractive, then what happens, the more you read of a devotee's mind, a devotee's heart, what happens? You want to be that. Awakens in you the sense of, I want to be like that. It's so nice. It's so nice to be a devotee. Right? Do you remember the first times when you read Prabhupada's books, when you heard classes, and you start thinking, gee, this sounds good. This sounds amazing. I remember my first impression was, this is too far. Too good to be true. Long hair, my surfboard somewhere, my Doberman waiting for me. It's just too far. But the more we read, the more we associate, the more you think it's possible. It's possible. It's like when you go to the doctor, right? What generally, any doctors in the house? I don't want to. Don't put your hand up. Generally, when you go to the doctor, what does the doctor do? They get the stethoscope and they put it in your heart. Generally, they ask you, what's your name, this and that. But that's just routine. You really want to go to it, right? Doesn't matter where maybe your foot is hurting or whatever, but they will generally get the stethoscope and they will put it around your chest or so. Correct? They want to know, right? If your heart is ticking, if everything is fine. In the same way, in order for us to advance, we need to know how. Nurses and doctors, they know this. There is a certain beat, right? Right? That's a healthy heart, correct? So, the purport of Srila Prabhupada explained to us what is a healthy heart of a Vaishnava. This is the heart of Ambarish Maharaj. He couldn't care less for being cursed. Right? There's one point that I was thinking, hearing the different classes in the last few days. You see, this explanation that Prabhupada gives, it's not about being nice. Jai Maharaj. It's not about being nice. Sometimes we may get confused by these descriptions of the Vaishnava. It's not about being nice. It's not about being polite only. It's not about only having good etiquette. Right? Because here we see or we glorify the idea of forgiveness. Ambarish Maharaj is forgiving Durvasa Muni. Right? But why is he forgiving him? Because he's a nice person. So many people forgive. Not only devotees forgive. Right? No? Or only devotees forgive. The judge sometimes forgive. Right? The government. The policeman. Right? Why did Ambarish Maharaj forgave Durvasa Muni? Anyone? he didn't feel offended. Because the whole issue was with him. And he didn't feel offended. He didn't have false ego. Now, if the issue would have been with the Lord, you think that Ambarish Maharaj would have forgiven Durvasa Muni? Prabhupada explains what's wrong with anger. Right? One time Prabhupada was a Delhi Pandal or Bombay Pandal. And then this young hippie boy, he challenged Prabhupada. And Prabhupada chastised him. He stood up and he said, I'm God. I mean, that Prabhupada was used to these things. He was coming from San Francisco, New York. I guess that was a regular occurrence. But it happened in India. And generally, people are not that daring. They may say, or they may think they are God, but they don't say it like that. They have to decorate it with different words and, So Prabhupada said, no. I mean, there are a few instances like that. Maybe it's a similar pastime. He says, you're not God, you're dog. And he got really, the devotees, I have read similar pastimes by different devotees' perception, and Prabhupada's lips will quiver, so angry. A few instances like that when Prabhupada showed anger because the Lord was being offended. In different places. And then devotees will tell Prabhupada, you got really angry. Yes. What's the problem with anger? Right. Hanuman was angry or was he forgiving? Arjuna, he killed, I don't know how many people he killed. He killed a lot of people. He wasn't forgiving. Right? The point here is that Ambarish Maharaj forgave Durvasa Muni because that's what pleased Krishna. That is the power of the Vaishnava. He's connected with Krishna. He knows what Krishna wants me to do. How does he want me to behave? How does he want me to feel? How does he want me to think? I'm just part and parcel. Nimitra Baba Sava Sachin. Let me just be an instrument. Right? So that is the mood of Ambarish Maharaj. We're not talking here, we're not preaching about being nice. It's good, we should be nice. We shouldn't offend devotees. Of course, that's part of the thing. Right? But if somebody attacks the temple, if somebody attacks the devotees, attacks the deity, the property of Krishna, you shouldn't apply this pastime. Oh, just let him be. Peace and love. Right? The mood is different. Right? The devotee is willing to fight. The famous pastime of Prabhupada in Bombay. Right? Mr. N. It's like in the CIA. After 20 or 25 years, they open the files. So now we can say the name, I think. Because now the name, Mr. Nair, I think that's his name, right? Right? Nair, yeah. The fellow died. Right? He ended up having a heart attack. And I think Tamal Krishna Maharaj or Giriraj Maharaj commented to Prabhupada after finally they won the battle. And Prabhupada said, rejoicing the experience. He said, that was a good fight. Right? So it's not that Vaishnava behavior means that, it's not good to fight amongst devotees. I'm not promoting. I think we had enough of that in our history within ISKCON and in our little, areas. But the idea is that a devotee, it's nice and polite and forgiving because that's what pleases Krishna. That is the decoration of a Vaishnava. The Bhushana it's called, right? So Bhakti Bhushana. Sometimes we decorate ourselves with elaborate tulsi arrangements and kavachas, and I see now the new trend, tattoos, and so many new things come, earrings, and so many things. Sudar, what's his name? Internet guru, what they call him? Grihastha, Srila Prabhupada disciple? Sankarshan. Nonitai, Sankarshan. He was telling me when he came a few weeks ago to Mayapur, he said that Prabhupada saw the devotees when they were coming to India, and they would put the remnants of the deity's thread in their wrists. And Prabhupada said, "That's your hippie tendencies are coming back. Don't do that." Prabhupada was very strict, very strict. Huh? So, anyway, going back to our point, here Durvasa Muni is glorifying Ambarish Maharaj. And this is definitely an important point, Jama Niyama. Yeah, do glorify devotees. Don't offend devotees. That's the message, right? We may say why, right? Just to bring it to a wrap. Narottam Das Thakur says, this is a famous song, and he says, Haristane aparade. We all know what aparade is, right? Haristane aparade. What happens when you offend the Lord? What's the antidote? What do? Chant. Tare Harinam. If you offend the Lord, chant, 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 chant. Tomastane aparade. Nahi paritran. If you offend the Lord's devotees, nothing can save you. Nothing. Except that devotee's mercy. Right? That's the idea. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada has given us this path. Sometimes seems like a narrow path. This is too difficult. Waking up early, I cannot say this, I cannot do that. It's too difficult. Sometimes it's very wide. Depends on your mentality. Yeah, you can do whatever you, Prabhu, it's okay. Mata, it's okay. You can dance like this, you can dress like that, you can do whatever you want. Prabhupada is very, very specific. That's why our duty as trying to be Prabhupada follower is to try to learn. How was he? I mean, we have Prabhupada disciples still in the planet. Right? There will be a time, I don't even like to say these things, this is painful. There will be no more Prabhupada direct disciples in the planet. Right? And then what? Yeah? Of course we have the books. But our attitude shouldn't be, I have the books. I had all the books. There's so many biographies. We have to take the opportunity to learn from them. The ones who saw Prabhupada, the ones who served Prabhupada, the ones who lived with him, the ones who knew his mind. Right? And that is the power of association, sadhu sangha. Why? Because, as this song says, the last bit, the next one, Tomara ridhoya sada Govinda Vishram, Govinda kohena mora Vaishnava paran. I'm going to read both translations. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, Vaishnava Goshai, there is no means of deliverance. The next verse says, your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. And Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. Right? We cannot offend devotees because devotees are more merciful than Krishna. Right? Am I making things up? Or sounds familiar? Prabhupada says this. I wouldn't dare to say something like this. Prabhupada said devotees are more merciful than Krishna. Right? Without devotees, there's no Krishna. Just to put it simply like that. We may hallucinate. Prabhupada says, I think it's a fourth canto in a purport. He said, those who think, I forgot, if somebody remembers the statement, please help me. Those who think they are Krishna consciousness outside the movement, but he refers to ISKCON, he says society. They are hallucination. It's hallucination. Right? No, but Krishna is there, the sun, the moon. Somebody asked Prabhupada, can you show me Krishna? And then he's explaining. He goes back to the room. He tells it, I think it was in Los Angeles. And then he says, why these people, they don't see Krishna? There is a narration about the gopis. Every time they saw a flower blossom, they saw the smile of Krishna. They will see the flowers and they say, Krishna is there. They are so in love. Everything reminds them of Krishna. Everything, the breeze, the plants, the flowers, the sun, the moon, everything. Always thinking of, and Prabhupada was like, of course, this is within closed doors. And Prabhupada says, why are they asking me if I can show Krishna? Krishna is everywhere. I see Krishna everywhere. And he quotes some verses, right? So many ways we can see Krishna. So many ways we can see through the eyes of a Vaishnava. Not that I can see Krishna. Right? So this is the message of this pastime. What is the heart of a Vaishnava? What is he really thinking? And then we have the behavior. Because sometimes the problem in our process is that we may be just basing our judgment on the externals. Right? Super Mirdanga player, amazing pujari, wonderful cook, those ones especially who remember, yeah? Wonderful cook, great manager. Right? Where are they now? Right? Unfortunately, we have to learn from these examples. Yeah? Many of those are not around. They left the association. Right? So the purpose of this section is to understand how does a devotee think, and why does he think like that? Because it pleases Krishna. Not just because he's a nice of course, out of a resultant or secondary, what's called corollary result. A devotee, it's a Vaishnava, it's a gentleman. Huh? How do you say? Lady. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, they say, right? Gentleman, gentlewoman, like that. By nature, they are like that. Prabhupada explains that in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Naturally, a devotee is very compassionate. It's a natural thing. We don't want to harm others. We don't want to offend anybody. The two first qualities of, here we are talking about, we cited this verse, a man of knowledge. Generally, that's a Brahmin, somebody who knows. What are the two first qualities that Krishna refers to in the Bhagavad Gita when he gives the 20 elements of knowledge? Chapter 13 takes 8 to 12. You? Yes. Amanitvam, adambitvam. Damba is pride. Right? Amanitvam. Respect. That's why Lord Chaitanya explained. We are meant to wear on a pendant, locket. Trinarapi, sunicana, tarorapi, sahisna. Amanina. Not, mana doesn't mean mine in that context. Mana, I don't know Sanskrit. But, right? Mana means respect. Amanina, not respect for me. Right? Not because, like in this case, Durvasa Muni, I was thinking that we have to be very careful if prasadam is late. Sometimes for us Westerners, the prasadam here in India is very hot, very chilly, right? And right? You get upset, you're very hungry. You have walked in parikram the whole day, 2 o'clock, you haven't eaten anything. And then all what you get, it's a big shark, right? Fried, shiny. And you feel like cursing someone. So remember Durvasa Muni's pastime. Or too little. Just got late. Prabhu, sorry, prasad is finished. Prabhu, tumi kripa. No problem. Right? Be careful, those prasad lovers. Right? Be careful. Krishna is always playing some trick. So this is the purport that Prabhupada gave us. Glorifying a devotee. This is what Durvasa Muni was, after his experience, yesterday was says that by his intelligence, that, by his mercy, by the mercy of Krishna, well, mercy comes in, different forms. In this instance, it came in the form of a burning disc the Sudarshan. So every time we walk by, we can see, we have 3 examples up there. Remember the Durvasa Muni's example, right? If you offend the devotee, one of those may come, special mercy, like that. They used to say that when Prabhupada came to Mayapur, people say, that's what the biographies say, that when Prabhupada came to Mayapur, the first 2 days was nectar. First day or 2, super nectar. He will open his windows and he will sit there at the back of his room. He was meant to live up in the lotus rooftop. Right? It's a whole pastime about that. I don't know if we have time to tell it. But anyway, they wanted to build that. Prabhupada didn't want personal quarters up there. He got upset actually. Why you're doing? We haven't even started the temple. So, Then the next time they came and they said differently, Prabhupada, here are the plans for the pure devotee, servant of the Lord. So the temple of the Lord can be, they worded differently. Prabhupada, he looked at it. Okay. So that was the roof, quarters. So when the quarters, where the rooms were finished, they brought up Prabhupada. Imagine the excitement. Prabhupada's rooms were ready up in the lotus rooftop. So they walked, some of the managers and some devotees, to show Prabhupada's room. Finally, they're completed. Prabhupada goes, enters, comes out, goes to the one, looks around, start walking. Somebody asks, Prabhupada, did you like it? No, too high. Just get me some room somewhere down there. That's the mood. Same thing, Ambarish Maharaj. He is the king of the world. The king of the world. But at the end, we see at the end of this chapter, he renounces everything. He knew. He distributed his property, and then he just absorbed himself in the practice of Krishna consciousness. So, like that, sometimes Prabhupada will be very soft, like a petal. Say the first few days, glorifying what he called Vaikuntha breeze. When you feel those breezes that come sometimes, beautiful, especially in the Radha Madhava courtyard in the morning, just to stand there, those are Vaikuntha breezes. You want to experience Vaikuntha, go and stand there. Cheap, free. Vaikuntha breeze, Prabhupada used to say. But after the second day or so, and then he saw a little dirt there, and then he will call the managers, and everyone will tremble. The buildings will tremble. Then the nectar took another shape, more like a thunderbolt. Jai Pataka, Bhavananda, who did this? So many pastimes. My Guru Maharaj, Jai Pataka Maharaj, he said, I learned that that's where the real nectar was. It was beautiful to see Prabhupada smiling because he was pleased that the project was developing. But when he gave the sauce to somebody, Angeli was one of them too. He knew, okay, here comes this is the real mind of Prabhupada. He wanted the place to be spotless, clean, perfect for the pleasure of the Lord. It's not that Prabhupada was OCD or something like that. Right? Everything had to be organized. Just for the sake of his, but he wanted to please the Lord, right? That's why Mayapur is so beautiful, because that's Prabhupada's mind is like expanded here. You can feel. So that's the idea. Is that we have to be clean or nice or polite or anything because just a personal preference. It's because the Lord likes it, right? But if we have to kill, then how many of us are willing to take up the arms, right? And go and fight? I remember once I was here, late 87 or 88, and in the middle of the night, some dacoits attacked the Goshala, 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I was fresh in the movement and fresh in Mayapur. Didn't speak one word in Bengali, and all of a sudden everyone running with sticks. So I also ran and took up a stick, just running. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand. And then I saw Jayapataka Maharaj shouting, "Go and get the guns." I was telling some of the devotees, "Go and get the guns." Because Prabhupada authorized to have guns. I mean, this is secret. We're not supposed to say. We're recorded. We're supposed to defend Krishna's property. You know the stories, right? And the deities have been attacked, etc., etc. So that's the idea. Ambarish is glorified not because he was a nice guy, but because he was, Prabhupada says, a mat paraha devotee. Krishna describes a devotee of the topmost quality. Right? So if Prabhupada sometimes got angry, sometimes Prabhupada was very sweet and polite and delightful, that's just because it was service. Right? So we stop here. If there's any questions, corrections, chastisements, kindly, please. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, actually, as per the Bhagavad Gita, it's very clear. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, these three items which leads to the hell.
Yep.
Kama, Krodha, Lobha. So Durvasa Muni is such a great mystic yogi.
Yep.
Why sometimes he behaves like with Ambarisha as well as the Pandavas, and later is repenting by himself? Because he is a mystic yogi, he knows now what are the main lacking of the human life.
So why? Why Durvasa Muni?
By Durvasa Muni.
Because he was, Prabhupada explains in the purports in the Bhagavad Gita 261 and 618, because he wasn't engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Simple. Now, Kama, Krodh, love, Krodh, Hanuman achieved perfection with Krodh. Arjuna uses Krodh for Krishna, right? Kama, right? These are material things, but spiritualized, the gopis, they curse Lord Brahma for the blinking function. They curse him. Huh? Adarshanat, when, what's that? Shikshastaka. Adarshanat. This is Radharani's talking. I cannot see you. You break my heart because I can't see you when I blink. Right? So that's karma. It's pure love. But it's just the other side of the coin. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who else? Madhurya Kanambini, what's the author? Explains that the more lobha, the more greed that we have for the holy name, for Krishna, for his service, the more we advance and the more we get purified. So those three things, although are the bars of hell, hellish prison, at the same time they are the key for the highest level of Krishna consciousness. So it's just a matter of changing it. Now, how you do that? Just ask Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and then you'll be safe. Right? Maharaj, microphone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So, thank you. Very thought-provoking class. The question is, because this topic comes up quite often nowadays about anger and using anger in devotional service, and some devotees understand that if it is used for Krishna, then it's fine, and they direct their anger at other devotees and criticize them, sometimes very openly in public. They say they do wrong things, so we have to defend Prabhupada and his legacy because we are very pure Prabhupada's followers, so we have to smash these people who pretend to be devotees, and sometimes these are leaders in a very high position. And it gets confusing sometimes because they are attacking not just some leaders, but those whom Prabhupada glorified and those whom Prabhupada considered to be very dear to him. And so what could be done in this regard, because even though these people are devotees, but their behavior is more like from the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, starting from text 4. So what should be our position? And sometimes it could be the case of our own spiritual master being attacked as well, very viciously.
True. Principle of conflict resolution we use for the training that we give in the congregational preaching ministry is what's that sutra? If you cannot make it better, don't make it worse. If you cannot make it better, don't make it worse. I heard, because I ask that question often, I heard from my seniors, there's a saying in English, choose your battles, pick your battles, right? Sometimes we do have to fight. I mean, let's not hide or try to hide the sun with one finger. Prabhupada came to fight, right? The fighting principle. Nirvisesha sunyabadi, paschatya, to destroy this. But the mood is that we don't know, we're instruments, we're servants. If we can give a good fight, meaning that one thing here that it's mentioned in the purport, I think it's a previous purport, and Prabhupada also mentions it in the Bhagavad Gita where he quotes the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. He says, the Lord is so kind that He makes everything perfect. If we are able to represent the Lord's mood and make everything perfect, how they call that? What's the buzzword? Win-win situation. That's the aim, that everybody wins. Right? It's not only a matter of pulling out the sword, or this sword, the little one, or the internet sword. No. It's a matter also from the heart. And see how much can we make the situation better. If we cannot make it better, at least let's not try to make it worse. If I would have the answer, the absolute answer to that question, I think that I would be somewhere else. It's a challenge, and I think that it's something that we need to work towards. It's something that Prabhupada emphasized. I remember, not the last ILS, the second last, the slogan that was under one of the banners, it says about the cooperation. Prabhupada, quote, your love will be shown by cooperating. My Guru Maharaj, when we asked him about that, he said, cooperation doesn't mean that everyone has to cooperate with me. He said that. I found that quite bright. Cooperation for us generally means, you are not cooperating with me, Prabhu. I'm telling you to do this. Maybe I have the keys of the temple, maybe I have the position, maybe I have 2-3 years more, or 2 decades more in the movement. So you have to cooperate with me. Cooperate, he said, it's co, meaning combinedly. Operate. What is your opinion? How shall we do this? Right, that's the idea. That's the gentleman's platform. Now, if somebody attacks us, we have to fight back. I mean, that's, if somebody steals or tries to steal the temple, I don't want to get into those topics. If somebody, happens to be the temple president or something, a board or trust or something, and then he decides to, sell the temple or mortgage the temple or the farm, we have to do something, right? So, it's not an easy one. Thank you for putting me in the spot, Maharaj. It's not an easy one, but I think that is something that's the challenge ahead. Because if we can crack that one, there's nothing that can stop us. Prabhupada said, Nothing can destroy us from outside. Who's the real enemy? Us. Right? Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Baher Nishingho, that's all good. The demons are all out there. Hridaye Nishingho. Right? So I know that sometimes we cannot be overly introspective and just beat ourselves, but we also have to be practical. If people attack us, even by law, you are entitled to self-defense. If we have to fight, we have to fight. Maybe our nature is not to fight. Some other people are more expert in these things, arguing and going to the court case and things like that. Many of those were going. In fact, when Prabhupada was leaving, we finished with this. When Prabhupada was leaving the planet, he was about to go in Vrindavan. And as you know, the devotees in America and England, in Venezuela, actually they won the marathon in 76. They were distributing so many books that Prabhupada said, book distribution is keeping me alive. So he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, take me to the West. You know all the story, right? So he goes, and then he falls ill in the manor, Bhaktivedanta Manor in London. And then they brought this newspaper clip where a Supreme Court in America, I think it was New York, has given the verdict that Krishna consciousness is a bona fide religion. Because it was court case about book distribution in the airports and all that sort of things. So he received the clip, and Prabhupada said, I won the war. Now I can live in peace. Take me back to Vrindavan. And that was it. Prabhupada came to fight this battle, right? To establish Krishna consciousness, Dharma Samstapanarthaya. And when he saw that that was enough, okay, turn around, let's go back. Right? So sometimes we do have to fight, and sometimes we have to make peace. And in order to decide which one is that one that we have to do, we have to know more and more Srila Prabhupada, the Shastras, and cooperate with the Vaishnavas. And he says in the preface of the Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction, he says in the preface, in any spiritual endeavor, the first task, or something I'm paraphrasing, is to put yourself in a situation where your senses and your mind are totally purified. And then the Lord will reveal which action to take. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the idea. Right? So that's a challenge, because, in other words, we need to be pure to know what to do. Ravinda Sarup Prabhu asked Prabhupada, when Prabhupada said that there will be a day that there will be war. You know that pastime? And then he said, and then we will have weapons, Prabhupada? Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. That's Prabhupada. And Ravinda Sarup Prabhu said, how will we ensure that we don't become demons when we have so much power? Imagine, you have tanks and you have, you know. And then he said, what Prabhupada said, famous, chant 16 rounds minimum and follow 4 regulative principles. Is that enough, Prabhupada? Ravinda Sarup very scarily asked. And he said, yes, that will be enough. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Lord Premanand.